masters with heroes rise. The dying world still mighty skies. Rushing ahead with power we fight. Strength that breaks unite in the night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story told in this land of imagination mode. With every stroke, adventures unfold. Meanings in my soul, soul and soul. Guidance in hand and worlds to explore. Roll the future, hear the dice roll. Gaming realms of muscles drawn. Together in this place where we belong. Doting spells, casting dreams until the dawn. Leveling up and the world's in our own. With painted heroes shining bright. Venturing onward in the endless night. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in this realm of imagination mode. With every stroke, the vengeance unfold. Peace of our soul, our soul. Where the brawn meets the brush. The story's told in this realm of imagination mode. With every stroke, the fate to light for peace of our souls, our soul.
Why, hello there, people. How are we? It's Friday. It's time for Minis and Muscles, the only place you need to be on a Friday, the only place where the brawn meets... Oh no, I've not got a paintbrush out. There, the brush. The brawn meets the brush right here on YouTube with me, Steve, as we do every Friday evening. A little bit of a geek get-together where we take a crazy slalom around the mazy world of geekdom. So we chat around various different things here on Minis and Muscles, from Warhammer to D&D to retro gaming to absolutely anything. Comics, Pokemon, whatever you like in the gaming world. We'll talk about it. Primarily we talk about Warhammer, D&D and retro gaming. They're probably the three bigger things. Also do a bit on Pokemon. Not averse to talking about anything else. So please do, if you love geeky stuff, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the videos and sign up and start chatting away on a Friday night to me here on Minis and Muscles. Anyway, what have we got going this week as I bring up my notes? Because every week I write notes. I'm a very diligent individual. But here on Minis and Muscles this week, we are talking about rules burnout. We're talking about back pain. And we're talking about bent Pokemon. And I mean that in the bestest of ways, by the way. So this week, and for those that don't know what we do on Minis and Muscles, whilst we're talking about all this world of geekdom, we also paint miniature models. So it wouldn't be Minis and Muscles if we didn't talk about paint miniature models. We are following up this week with our continuation of this beautiful Space Marine gunship. Okay, so we'll be continuing to paint this. I'm actually going to try to put this week some of the transfers on. So we've got our little transfer sheet here. Whoop. And we're going to start to put some of those on. So we'll start doing that today, I think, because that'll be fun. So we've got that, which we're going to continue to do. As always, we have like a kind of theme here on Minis and Muscles where we talk about a sort of geeky topic and we have a good old chat and a natter whilst we're painting, right? And that kind of runs, that generic theme runs throughout the show from 7 till 9 p.m. And that generic chat today is rules burnout. All these geeky things, right, are covered in rules. It doesn't matter whether you're playing, Pokemon on a Game Boy, or whether you're playing Warhammer on a tabletop environment, or whether you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? They've all got rules, and generally speaking, it's quite rules heavy. So I wanted to talk about rules burnout purely because I've experienced a little bit of that this week. So I thought that would be a great topic to talk about with you guys and how you're experiencing that. So that's our general chat topic this week. What else are we going to talk about? Well, we have our muscle moment. Of course we have our muscle moment. And the hint was in the title of today's show, back pain. And I'm going to talk about the importance of form and technique. So we'll go into that on our muscle moment. That usually is around halfway through the show. So about halfway point, we stop from the model making and we talk about muscles and muscles only, or just fitness in general. So we've got that. And then our third segment we've got is our hobby horror moment. And again, alluding to the title, Bent Pokemon, I'm going to talk about Pokemon sort of card carnage and, you know, importance around keeping your cards nice and how not to do things. So keep your cards pristine. All right, so that's today's show. We've got plenty to chat about. As we spoke about, it is back to focusing on our gunship. So there's plenty to do on that, including this. I'm looking at this little sort of plastic screen here. I've had to start filing it away because it's too big to fit into the little gap here. So I filed off quite a fair few mil actually. So it's not just because I painted the edge. It just actually was genuinely too big. But what we'll probably do is, as I move my lights about and I get us ready, let's drop ourselves into our top-down camera. There we are, so we can see our glorious gunship in all her beauty. Looking very nice. As I said, I've got this little plastic cover here to go across there. So that will go in there like that. I just need to make sure that fits properly. It doesn't quite look right. I don't know why. These little black edges, I need to paint them blue. But anyway, we need to get all that sorted, get that in. I might even paint those blue first, I don't know. We'll probably paint these tonight as well, so we've got the engines as well to do, so we'll do those in silver. I'm just going to bang silver straight over those, so it shouldn't be a difficult or technical job there, not to begin with. And then we'll look at some transfers, okay? So that's probably how we're going to roll this evening. Anyway, before we get into the painting, oh God, don't want to press that. Before we get into the painting, apologies for pressing the wrong slide into, the wrong transition screen. What I wanted to say was, how are you all? Is everybody well? We've got a couple of people already watching, so it's great to have you on board. Elias has already dropped into the chat and he's saying hello. So I'll turn my music down a little bit. It feels like it's a little bit too loud. So Elias is saying hello and I'm back. Yes, it is going to be fun. It is always fun here on Minis and Muscles, Elias. Come on, you know this. And welcome back. Pleasure to have you. So fingers crossed you have all got some fresh paint. Good. I hear you replying to me. And hopefully you've got your wet palettes ready as well. So let's get all that sorted. Elias, I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're okay. I hope you've had a good week. Let's just chuck that lid down there because we won't be needing that whilst we paint away. And let's start to get some paints out. So how is everybody's week? What's everybody been up to? Stick it in the chat. Tell me how your week's been. My week has been... It's been an okay week, actually. It's not been too bad. Busy at work as always, but had some good conversations with friends and good catch-ups. I did play Warhammer this week during the week, which doesn't often happen. So I actually played Warhammer last night. So the Sisters of Battle took charge against the Grey Knights. So Space Marine Grey Knights I played last night. And that was a tricky matchup. That was not an easy game. And it was neck and neck for a lot of it. And it came down to the last round. And basically... I lost, which I'm completely happy with, but it was lost by, I think it was 10 points. So it's like 61 to 71 or something like that. It was really, really close, and it came down to secondaries. So secondary objectives, and that's how I lost. But never mind, it's all a learning experience. And that kind of brings me on to our generic chat topic, actually. So I put the generic chat topic for the week as rule burnout. And what do I mean by rule burnout? Well, I'll get to that slightly in a second after I answer Optimus's question in the chat. He's saying, any more Warhammer purchases this week? Oh, I did actually. Well, it wasn't this week, but it was in the week since we've last spoke. I got a jump pack Canoness. So she's actually just here. So let me get it out of the box. If I can undo my little storage case that I have right next to me with all my sisters in. So I got this lady. I haven't finished painting her yet because I wanted to use her in the battle, but I got this little lady. So jump pack Canoness with this massive halberd, because there's a few really good stratagems I can play on this lady and she becomes super tough. So that's why I picked her up. Because Sister Battle don't really have any melee, but she is actually pretty strong. Elias is saying, I've been wanting to paint... paint what, mate? What have you been wanting to paint? Or have you been wanting to paint a Canoness? Is that what you're saying? Sorry, I missed it if you did drop it in there. Sometimes when the chat comes through, it doesn't come through instantaneously. So what I'm doing right now, in fact, I could probably swap cameras over to here. I'm just taking a razor blade right now and just running it down the edges of this plastic screen. So this is the plastic screen that's going to sit over here. And I'm just taking off, I shouldn't do it over the model. I'm just taking off and trimming just some of the edges because it's a little bit too tight. And I want it just to be a bit more of a flush fit. So I'm just using the razor blade just to take little bits off at a time, just to see if that fits a bit better. So it's still a little bit tight. Oh no, that's okay. That's good. It seems like it fits. Yeah, okay. That's alright. That'll do. Okay, so that's that. Let's get this here. Just give it a bit of a dusting where I've been cutting all of the bits of plastic off. It's gone into there, which we don't want. Yeah, so what else has everyone been up to? Elias is saying, oh, anything I don't have any models. Oh, okay. Okay, so how comes you don't have any models, Elias? You said you said the other day that you got an army. So what happened to your army? Have you run out of models to paint? Is that what you're saying? You've no longer got any more models to paint, extra models. There we go. So there you go, just clean that up. I'm just going to give it a bit of spit and polish there just to clean the glass, because there was a little mark across the glass. And that was kind of annoying me that it was there. I think it might be glue or glue vapour. Sometimes when you glue stuff you get a little tiny bit of vapour and it stains this clear plastic, and it's an absolute bugger to get out. So just be ever so careful if you are doing clear plastic and you get any glues near it. It can have the effect where it gets stained and it's a bugger to get off. And if you don't get it off, it then looks just really weird because your glass is stained, and you don't want to stained glass in this sense. If it was a lovely Sisters of Battle cathedral, that's a different subject. We can have stained glass all day long. But in this environment, we don't want stained glass. Just trying to work that out. Kind of. Oh well, that'll have to do. That'll have to do. We don't need perfection here. Righty. Let's get some blue on those edges. So yeah, everyone has had a good week, hopefully. Even if some of you haven't got models where you can paint, hopefully still it's been a nice week. Whatever it is you've been doing, fingers crossed you've spent some time with loved ones, with family, all the rest of that good jazz. JPC is in the house, but he's still at work. JPC, that is standard, my man. That is standard. But I do appreciate you jumping in, even though you're at work. See, that's real dedication. That is real dedication right there, that JPC can jump in even when working. That's very impressive. Elias is jumping in saying, I'm saving up for Space Hulk. Oh, yes, I do remember you saying. Sorry, Elias. One thing you'll realise with myself is I do forget a lot of things very, very quickly. Don't have the best of memories. That's why I struggle so much with rules burnout, which is our general chat topic, which I'll get to shortly. JPC says, I'll be painting more Chaos Warriors tonight and this weekend. Oh, cool. So in the Discord, JPC has been dropping some of his pictures of his models into the Discord chat. You can find a link to the Discord if you go to the info part of the YouTube page. You will see a link tree, a link for Linktree. If you follow that link, it will give you loads of different links, including for the Discord. So please do go and have a look at that. Join up, join in the chat. It'll be good to have you on board. That's a bit annoying. Well, I'm just talking to myself there, saying that's a bit annoying because part of the black, where perhaps it wasn't quite dry, has bled onto the glass. So that's just a bit frustrating. You know, I don't know if I'd put these on the right way, you know. I'm not sure if I did. Still thinking they're looking a bit odd. But never mind. But yeah, rules burnout is what I wanted to talk about, and I wanted everyone to jump in and talk about. Now, the reason why is I've been playing, or trying to learn to play, Warhammer. Right, I've been painting models for some time, and I wanted to try and play it, which I do, and I can, can get by just about. But I tell you what, crikey oh blimey, there are some rules on Warhammer, and it is really complicated. And I was just having a chat with a group of friends of mine today about stuff, and we're sort of saying, no, it's this, no, it's that, and it just made me think, like, first of all, everyone must be having this same bloody problem. And secondly, it doesn't just apply to Warhammer. Actually, rules burnout comes in so many different forms, across loads of different geek topics. So, like, although it was Warhammer that triggered it for me, actually, if I look back at when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, it was the same thing. If I look back at when I played old retro games, same thing. Rules burnout. Not so much in the retro games, but they were more simple. But still, board games, rules burnout. So with Warhammer, what I find very frustrating in rules is that the rules change fairly often, and you get updates and they change a lot, but actually it's how the rules are written. They're not written very clearly, and because they're not written very clearly, they're open to a lot of misunderstanding. So it doesn't matter whether it's me misunderstanding it or XYZ, whoever, they're just open to misinterpretation, and that leads to a very frustrating game. Because you're trying to play this game with your mates, and you do come to a gentleman's agreement, of course you do, but it's just like trying to get the basic rules so you can have a nice flow of a game is really hard. The factions all have their different rules. You always get new data sheets that come out every 3 months. You've got a million different rules that are called stratagems in Warhammer, where you get to play extra bonuses with your characters or units. They're all different. There's so many layers to Warhammer, and the way that it's written is bloody awful. I wish someone in Games Workshop would pull their finger out, because crikey, they write some complicated rules that really don't need to be complicated, and it just ends up in pure confusion and chaos. Oh, Optimus, I saw a message pop up and then you deleted it. What was that message, sir? Something about tournaments. I saw just come in. But yeah, I found Warhammer's really fun and I like it, but because of some of the complications, it does slow it down. And I don't know if there's... Well, I guess they brought out Kill Team, which is meant to be like a streamlined, quick version of playing Warhammer. But it's only one little tiny kill team, right? You want to collect the army. That's the whole thing about it. So yeah, drop your comment back in, rewrite it, Optimus, and drop it back in, bro. Love to listen to what you're saying there. But has anyone else found it when they're playing Warhammer or a Games Workshop type game? Could be Blood Bowl, just as equally as frustratingly difficult to learn sometimes, you know. Optimus is saying, do you think the rise of the competitive side, both tournaments and online, have caused the rules to be too difficult? I don't think so. I think that the competitive side certainly means that rules are more looked at, but from my knowledge of Warhammer, it's been pretty complicated since day one. There have been apparently editions of Warhammer, because we're now on 10th edition, there has been editions of Warhammer that have been less complicated in certain areas, but none of them seem to have been straightforward. I didn't play Warhammer when I was younger, but I did play things like Blood Bowl and you know, things like that, and that was still pretty complicated back then, and I don't think it's changed much now, to be fair. So I don't think it's competition, or I don't think it's online. Actually, if anything, the online virtual tabletops, I think, have probably made it easier, because you don't have to necessarily learn all the rules. The online tabletop version will restrict you from doing things automatically. So that is quite good. You know, so it'll automatically tell you what weapon loadouts, it will automatically tell you how far you can move, it will automatically tell you X, Y, Z. You know, so actually I think online games have probably made it better and more accessible for people. That would be my guess. I mean, I'm not the judge, jury and executioner by any stretch of the imagination, but that would be my guess on it. But it certainly could do with it being written in a way that is easier to understand, with less ability to be misconstrued. Because a lot of these Warhammer rules, I think, are written in such a way that I would think it does one thing and then someone else would think it does something else. So they really do need to tighten up their grammar, which is hilarious because it's an English-based company. So yeah, God knows why it is the way it is. Maybe everyone that works in Warhammer isn't native English speaking, and they're all working on translation. That'd be hilarious. Oh dear. But yeah, that's my answer to you, Optimus, I think. Oh, hey Adrian, how you doing? Good to see you. Are you not at Comic-Con, Adrian? You normally hit up all the conventions, so I'd be surprised if you weren't at Comic-Con today. So for those of you who don't know, Comic-Con is a massive convention. In fact, we talked about it the other week on one of the shows. That happens every couple of years. Every year for Comic-Con. And it's in London, held in London over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, so very good, very good. They've got Warhammer stuff there, D&D stuff there, manga stuff there, artwork, cosplay, you name it, it's there. And if you are going to London Comic Con this year, please do stop by the Game Therapy UK stand. So Game Therapy are a registered UK charity that provide therapeutic gaming to a variety of different people. So from military veterans with the Tactical Advanced to Game section, all the way through to schools, libraries and clubs, people with disabilities, homelessness projects. There's loads of good stuff that Game Therapy do. They're a really good charity, and I don't know what hall they're in this year, but they are there. Please go and see them if you're going to Comic Con this year. So there's my little plug for Game Therapy, because they're a wonderful little charity, and they are only little. Everyone there is volunteers, so they really do need your support as much as all these big charities. No, not going today, but I did have a windfall. Whoa, what happened? What happened? Don't tell me you won the bloody lottery, Adrian. Are you now sitting on top of 160 million or whatever the euros is at? And you're going to go to Comic Con tomorrow with your millions in your pocket and you're going to go buy everything. And I wouldn't blame you, Adrian. I would do exactly the same. So all I'm doing right now, by the way, guys, is I'm just quickly going around these little rocket engine parts, whacking on the silver. I'm not being careful. I'm just missing all the edges. So if I zoom in a little bit, what you'll see on some of these edges here, look, oh, that way. There you go. I'm not going right up to the edge. I'll do that with a fine detail brush. I'm just using this massive dry brush, right? I'm just going through with this brush and doing it this way. There you go. That brush. I'm using that and just slapping the silver on there just to get it done quick. You will see on the bottom of here, there's loads of things that need doing in silver. You know, I could, so for example, this part here, I could just drag my dry brush across and start to pull silver on. Like that, but I will get I'm just going to get a finer detail brush and just go straight across them. I won £70 on the lotto and £3 on the Euro Millions. Whoa! Mate, you are a millionaire. So tomorrow, when you go to Comic Con, you'll be able to spend all that money guilt-free, Adrian. Guilt-free spending. Elias has dropped in and said, hey, and I thought Adeptus, and I thought Adeptus Titanicus rules were hard. Yeah, Titanicus rules are hard, but like the complications around some of the Warhammer rules for Warhammer 40,000 I've experienced so far, that you just don't need them. I just think they could clear so much up if they wrote them in a way which was understandable. Because some of these rules are written in such a way that I think nobody would ever speak like that. They're written in such a stupid way. Write them how people would understand, and I think you would end up with less confusion. That's my personal opinion, anyway. But yeah, the rules in general need to be lighter in Warhammer. There's plenty of edition changes as well, so, and this is not just Warhammer, right? This goes across all different things. So it could be, let's look at D&D, right? So D&D has had some rule changes recently, so it's gone from 5th edition to D&D 2025 or 1D&D or whatever they're calling it now. You know, and that's changed quite dramatically. It seems like a silly thing, but even it seems like a small thing, but it's not. There's so many rule changes for all the class options and all of that. I don't think I'll ever change over to 1D&D or D&D 25, whatever they call it. I probably will now stay at 5th edition, and that'll be the lot. I don't think I'm going to change. Some of the rules that have changed and I've seen, I'm like, crikey, they've messed that right up. I posted in a group today with my friends about 1D&D, and it was how the Ranger class, they changed the Ranger class, and now by level 4 you can have a Ranger that has an armor class of 25, and if they activate one of its abilities it then means 30. So it's absolutely nuts, and that's at level 4. So you can have a Ranger. So for anyone that plays D&D now and you're sort of listening to this, imagine having a Ranger at level 4, right? And you've got an AC of 25 as a minimum. What the heck? Nothing will ever kill you. Not until you get to the later game anyway. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, so There's always addition and changes. Is addition and changes a good thing? Do we think that we should be, once rules are written, should that be it then? Should you just stick to that? And for good or for bad, you accept it for what it is, and that is it. So it allows everyone to learn it. There's no changes, and you just stick with it. Do you think that's a better way to do it? I'm not sure. I'm undecided, because some days I'm like, yeah, they should just print one set of rules, and once they're done, that's it. They shouldn't change it ever again. And then other times when I'm faced with a real crap rule, I'm like, oh my god, I wish they'd change this. So what do you guys think? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. Tell me what you think. Should companies change their rulings regularly on games, or should they just keep them? So once the game has been created, whatever that is, if that's a video game, if that is a board game, if that is D&D, Warhammer, should they make the rules once and that's it? Or if it was a video game, should they create the rules and then never do an update, so everyone just learns and lives with it? I mean, that was a beauty of old games, right? Although old games seem to be more complicated as a whole, and they didn't explain themselves particularly well, the rules never changed. You didn't get updates to your computer games. That was it. Once you got it, that was it. That's all you had. You got it, that was it. It was done. So yeah, so I don't know. What do you think? Drop it in the chat. Tell me what you think. By the way, all I'm doing is just going, because there's silver, there's loads of silver bits on the bottom of this gunship, so I just thought I'd continue to work on the underside just because I'm here doing it now. And it's quite easy work, especially when you're chatting away and you're talking to you guys. Sometimes doing the detailed stuff is quite hard because you have to really concentrate, whereas this, you can sort of chat away in a quite relaxed manner and still get these little bits done. So I thought I'd do that. So yeah, what do you guys think? Rule changes, should it just be a once-off one thing and then done? Or should you get extras? Adrian is saying AC doesn't help against a fireball. Well, true, but still, a level 4 ranger with 25 AC, that's insane. I'm sorry, that's just mental. Optimus is saying, seems like the rules are so vast you need to know not only all the rules and your faction's rules, but also the rules of your opponent's factions. Now that's a great point, right? That's an absolutely banging point. So we're back to talking of Warhammer here, right? What Optimus is saying there is that you don't just need to know your rules and keep up to date with that and the actual core rules, but knowing your enemy's rules. So whatever your enemy is playing, whoever your enemy is playing, to make sure they're playing the right rules, you now need to start to learn their rules as well. And it's all right if it's your best bud and you're like my games that I play, there's 3 of us and we play all the time. I always play Sisters of Battle, so the guys probably start to learn my rules anyway. But they play various different armies, so I don't get a chance really. I mean, I don't learn my own bloody rules, let alone learning everybody else's. So yeah, it's very difficult, but I get your point, Optimus. You feel like you have to know everyone else's rules so that you can get things right, and that is almost an impossible task. So it's very much based upon trust, so trusting your opponent to play fairly, because everyone makes a cock up, right? So it doesn't matter what game you're playing, everyone will make a mistake at some point, whether it's D&D and you misread a rule, or it's Warhammer and you rolled too many dice, or whatever it is. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's the person that sort of is regularly bending rules quite blatantly to benefit. So that's not what you want. So yeah, so it's very difficult knowing what to do for the best. And I've just found that this week for me, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today, the burnout of rules is quite high. I had sort of playing in the background because I had some sort of admin stuff to do for work. So in the background I had playing today just some YouTube videos of people, Warhammer like tournament players, talking about how to play and and the rules and how to understand the rules. And these people have been playing for years. So I thought, well, it'd be good to listen to them and understand a bit more from them about the rules and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. So I had an opportunity to do that today, which inspired me to talk about it today with you guys. But crikey, it is a bit of a burnout. It's so rule intensive, and my poor little pea brain gets absolutely overloaded. So I just wondered whether it was the same for you guys, whether you felt the same as well. Whole person on the AC-25 Ranger. Yeah, Adrian, I get it. There are plenty of extra things you could do, man. But primarily, you're not gonna. If you take yourself to level 4, what enemy are you going to be up against that's casting hold person on you? Probably not many. They're quite low level. And I just think AC-25 at level 4 is nuts. It's kind of game breaking. Even at later levels, I think it's just ridiculous that you can do that. And then if you can do that at level 4, well, what's the point in carrying on till level 20? And what's the sort of draw to keep you coming and playing if your level 4 ranger is already bashing out an AC-25 and can't be killed by anything or very little things. That was my point. But no, I completely understand what you're saying though. There are a lot of spells that could still incapacitate the ranger. Just doing some more of these boring old silver details on the bottom of this. What we're saying in the chat. Back in the day for 40k and pewter figures, or the little lead figures is what Adrian's talking about. There was a counter to the rules treat. It was called the Dread Sock. The Dread Sock. Oh, it sounds like there was a wrestler, Mick Foley, who had Socko. Well, he wasn't Mick Foley. He is Mick Foley, but I can't remember what his bloody character was called that he played that had the Mankind. That was it, Mankind. And he had a sock puppet. Yeah, it used to get people with that. Just what you're saying there, Adrian, just reminded me of that. Sorry, it's completely unrelated. Well, related in the sense it is a sock. Not just to check they are playing correctly, but to stop you getting tabled because you didn't recognise the traps and setups are going for. Oh god, yeah, 100%, man. Very true. You don't want to get smashed off the table in 2 seconds flat. It's just no fun. And if you understand your opponent's army or part of their army, at least you can counter against it. So for example, my mate that I played last night, last few times he's been playing World Eaters, and actually he's been doing really well with those. And World Eaters, crikey, they're strong. But he switched last night and he played Grey Knights. And I didn't expect him to play Grey Knights, so I took all anti-infantry stuff, and it didn't pay off because Grey Knights are like 2+ save on everything, literally on everything, and they have the ability where they can teleport up and off the table all the time, and then drop back in, like every 3 units per round. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it's infuriating. Although I did completely forget one rule that I had that could counter that. Again, learning your rules, isn't it? I forgot a rule that could counter that. So his aim basically was sort of getting in close and just smashing me to bits, because his guns that he had weren't that strong. But he had a lot of heavy hitters in melee. So he wanted to just get close and just batter me. And the joke is I had a few units that had the ability to be able to move as soon as he charged. So once he charged, I had the ability to then move out by 6 inches. And I forgot to play it. You know, this is what I'm talking about, like rules burnout, having so many. Like, it's great that you've got the individuality of your unit. And for example, I love my Sisters of Battle. But crikey, it does flex the old brain muscles to remember it all. I tell you, oof. I just forget so much. It's unreal. There we go. Slowly getting there. Slowly getting there with the silver across the bottom. So we're getting a few bits done here. That's all we're doing. Just tidying up the bottom. These don't have to be perfect, right? Because not many people are going to see the underside. So to a basic level, as long as you've got a bit of difference in the colour, I wouldn't worry too much about these areas. That's why I'm being sort of quite, not slapdash, but I'm being quite quick. I'm not really worried about it too much. Just putting a quick bit of silver in, and that's it. And be done with it. Yeah, what was I talking about? So I was talking about different variations. So you find yourself learning one set, right? And all of a sudden the buggers bring out new rules, and you're like, no! And that's what I was saying when earlier, do you think that you should just get one rule set and then stick at that rule set? And this is not just for Warhammer, this could be for D&D and everything else. You know, once the rules are done, that is it. You accept it as they are. And then it just gives you the opportunity to be able to learn them. People like me that take ages to learn these stuff, I start getting to grips with it and then they change something. Absolutely infuriating. But still, I guess that's part of growth, right? Yeah, that's part of growth and learning new things and being able to do new stuff. What was it else I was going to talk about? I was going to talk about something else here. Let me finish this line and then look up to my notes. Yes, we talked about rule overload in Warhammer. We talked about addition changes and things like that. So what else I wrote here was power creep and meta shifts. So for like people that, as the rules change, you get these people that are really hot on the rules, know every single thing, and they're sort of chasing these optimal builds. Like that level 4 ranger with a 25 AC, for example. You get people that are, all they want to do is take the most highest powerful play on the available and just play that, and they have great satisfaction in demolishing everything. But I always wonder why there's no challenge in that. I don't know, maybe it's just fun for some people, but I just think there's absolutely no challenge in it. Someone's got the army, the highest performing army or whatever, and they're playing the lowest performing army, or they've got this rule that is, makes their character super strong, versus enemies that could never, bother you. So where does the challenge come in? Does that strip away the fun? So like that was my thought on sort of chasing the meta. Some people do, that kind of strips away the fun, right? I personally think, because if you don't have a challenge in something, what's the point? It becomes almost. I think that's probably why someone like Usain Bolt retired in the end, because it was just like, well, what's the point? Nobody can beat me anyway. Although saying that, I think he did lose maybe one or two, or he started to get contested or lost one or two. Maybe it was age for him actually, but there was a point where nobody in the world could touch him, and it just gets kind of boring. So I wonder what people's motivation is for those that chase the meta. Has anyone come up against a meta chaser before? I think the worst I found was whilst playing D&D. I used to play D&D in this little cafe. And there was a guy there that chased the meta big time. So he used to just have these, like the level 4 ranger with 25 AC. He used to build these super optimal builds that were so good. Like he'd study for hours to get the absolute right thing, and he'd tinker with everything so that, you know, it's got 1 point removed from there to put into that one just so it makes it even better. And I remember playing D&D when I first started with this guy, and he was also into Pokemon, and he would, during his go, and he would disappear and go off to the sort of because it was in a shop where I played D&D, he'd go off to buy Pokemon cards like mid-go, because he was so unfazed by anything that was happening in the game, because he knew his character couldn't be touched. And then he'd come back to the table, and you know, the DM would say, "Oh, where the hell have you been?" And I remember once he was like, "Well, it's all right. I know exactly what I'm doing anyway. I'm doing this spell, that." And he just said it whilst he was unpacking his Pokemon cards on the table. He killed a load of things, you know, within 2 seconds flat. It was absolute, as like a new player as well, it was absolutely infuriating. And it got to, I don't know, maybe that's good. Maybe good on him because he knew the rules that well. But it kind of ruined the game for everybody, because it was such an optimal build. Nobody would get a chance, you know, to attack the enemy, because he'd kill them within 2 seconds flat. So that was quite a frustrating. Has anyone ever found that? Has anyone played against any sort of real meta chasing individuals that build only the best, most optimal choices, or they only buy the army or whatever that is the highest performing? Or has anyone found that? Drop it in the chat if you have. I'd love to hear your versions of my experience. Like I say, that was quite a negative experience playing D&D with someone like that, you know, didn't seem to care. He knew the 4 things he was going to do, and that was all he was ever going to do. I just think that must get bloody boring. It's like these people that play, I don't know, like Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever it is, and they're so good, they don't lose. They literally don't lose. That must be pretty bloody boring. I'd get too bored at that, I think. I mean, I've never been in a position or anything like that where, you know, I can just do that with my eyes closed. Maybe it's not boring. Maybe it's super fun to do it. To just absolutely trounce people every day. Maybe that's people get kicks out of it. I don't know. Personally, I've never been in a position to be able to do that. Maybe it is fun. I don't know. What are we all saying? Oh no, Elias, you got to go. No worries, buddy. Take it easy. Have a good evening. Adrian's saying, then you have the bandwagon played hopping over to use those rules. Yeah, 100%. It's so annoying, Adrian, right? It's so frustrating. They, you know, and they'll change just because that new rule. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this in the right position so I can paint it and you guys can also see it. Yeah, it's so frustrating when that happens, right? When people just jump on the bandwagon just to get that latest army that's come out or whatever, or change the class of their character just because this patch in the game has come out and now it makes it the most powerful. That's just to me, that's boring. And I think I did a stream not so long ago talking about character builds for D&D, and actually quite often when I build mine, I'll build them with a flaw purposely, so that they have something where they're really poor at it, so they just cannot be, you know, this one-man army type thing, because it's more fun. And if you strip the fun out of a game, you know, then the game becomes naff. To me, anyway. Again, I'm only speaking from my own experience, and maybe because that's not because I'm not a good enough computer gamer or a good enough Warhammer player, whatever. Maybe if I experienced it on the other foot, in the other person's shoes, maybe I'd have a very different opinion. Who's to say? The metagamer 40k players using super rules with the unpainted armies on the table. Yeah, you know, that sucks, man. It's how boring is it? You've got to live a proper sad life to do that. That's what I think anyway, because for me it's like, when I first started playing Warhammer, I said to the guys, because I enjoyed our company, I said to the guys, look, I don't really care if I lose for the first year and I lose every single game, because actually I play more for the fun of playing the game and hanging out with your mates and just chatting shit. That's, you know, it's a bit like this stream that I do. You know, I don't do it for earning money or anything like that. I do it just because it's fun. I like hanging out with you guys. I like chatting crap about geeky topics and just hanging out and chilling. So that's why I do the stream, and that's also why I play my games and stuff. I've mentioned before again, I play Fortnite with my cousin. He's really good at playing Fortnite. I'm not so good. I'm getting better, but I'm not very good. But I play more just to play with him because it's fun. I like chatting with him. I like catching up with him. Whereas, like, you know, otherwise I wouldn't bother doing it. But that's me. And I think there are people out there that do play games in a different way. That's also fine too. I don't have anything against anybody. I just don't personally understand it. That's all. Not that it's problematic. So we're getting to the end of doing some of these, this engine actually. We're getting to the last little pieces. It's coming together, this gunship. I really love how... I love the clean look of an aircraft or a vehicle or something like that, and even actually units themselves. I like that clean paint job look, so when I look at this I'm like, yeah, that looks fucking smart. Maybe that's the army in me, that I want everything to be cleaned and polished. But I like that kind of clean, smart look. Oh, pardon me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can appreciate people that can paint with loads of distress and coloration, and, you know, and can show weathering and wear. It's really impressive. And I can do some of that, not all of it by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not my fave. So I hardly do it because I prefer it like this. I like a clean machine. What are we saying in the chat? Oh, I'm back. I had to go shower. Jeez, Elias, that was the fastest shower in NATO. Crikey. You must have had a super fast shower. That was super quick. Adrian's saying, is it a heat wave in Denmark? Yeah, I don't know, is it? Or is that fact? Is that what you're stating, Adrian, that you know that it's a heat wave in Denmark? Because Elias, if for those that don't know, is from Denmark. It's one of our international viewers here on Minis and Muscles. We don't just cater for the UK audience, you know. We have people all over the globe watching us. America, Germany, Denmark, the UK, of course. Maybe I should separate the UK into separate countries, and rather than just classifying everyone as the UK, and start saying, yeah, we got, you know, in Scotland and Wales and England and Denmark and Germany and Australia and the US. Actually sounds quite impressive when you say it like that. Oh dear, so sad. Right, so we've just done the engines on both sides there. Started on the underside just to do a couple of little details along the bottom there. These engines actually here need doing, so we should probably do those next, I think. Would probably be the wise bit. Right. Doop. Just get a little bit more wetter on my brush. Oh no, I thought someone had just said something in the chat, so I've just paused to read that, but no. So yeah, what else am I going to say? We've spoken about sort of meta playing and sort of overly complex D&D character builds, and I guess all of this sort of rules. This was my sort of overall overarching point. Was that it leads to burnout. I love all these games, like genuinely do. I do love these games, but when you get so deep into it, and you have to with these games to start excelling or getting better or whatever, then you get so deep into it, you start to get burnout. Or I certainly do. I don't know if this is a common thing. Is this a common thing? Drop it in the chat. Tell me, do you get burnout from these games when it becomes sort of rule intensive and you have to sort of really start doing your research and blah 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 and reading all the time to keep up with things? Do you get rule burnout? And by rule burnout, I mean the sort of it zaps a little bit of your drive and motivation to play the game. And it takes the fun out of it. So, I mean, I can say I'm not there at Warhammer yet, but I certainly was when I was playing D&D. I got to rule burnout just because you're sort of constantly heading the book as a GM. DM. So I was dungeon mastering for various different games, online, in person, and it just gets to the point where you do end up with you can't get out of the book, and you just end up losing it. It loses its fun because they're so rules heavy, and you get bogged down in the rules. And I kind of got a little burnt out with that. I don't know if everyone else feels that or has ever experienced that. Elias saying, sorry, it rains like half the year, sometimes also in summer. Yeah, to be fair, Elias, I think Denmark's not too dissimilar weather to the UK, so you're in the same sort of boat as we are, literally. Adrian saying multi-class burnout when GWs screw around with your army laws and rules. Yeah, oh mate, 100%. So when they change rules for your army, this is a Warhammer problem. So Warhammer regularly release about every 3 months now sort of updates to your army, and they change your rules, and they change the points valuation, and they change the lore, and that can really screw with how you love or what you fell in love with your army for in the first place. So, you know, if they start, which they have done in quite a few of the last rules changes, changed the Sisters of Battle a lot, and a lot of the players have sort of either left and have found a lot of Sisters of Battle's armies coming up for sale. They've either sort of given up on the Sisters, or they've just sort of stepped back for some time until it all calms down. But they basically changed a load of the point valuation for Sisters of Battle, and then they changed a load of the rules as well. So Sisters got hit really hard. They haven't messed with the lore of the Sisters yet, not that I've seen, but that could well happen. But they do that, and that kind of spoils it, because you fall in love with your army for a reason, right? There's a reason why you chose, you know, Grey Knights, or, you know, Black Templars, or whoever it is, or the Gene Stealer cult, whoever it is, Orcs. You fall in love with that army for a reason. When people start messing with it, you kind of feel a little bit protective. Yeah, so I get you, Adrian. Completely get you. We are the Iron Hands, and we are not the Ultramarines. Yeah. Are you guys going to... Oh, I don't know if you guys are going to get your own codex, though. I think you'll still be lumbered, unfortunately, with resulting to the standard Space Marine codex rather than having your own one. I don't think you're going to get your own, dude. certainly not in this edition anyway. So, you know, you will be lumbered with everyone else. And for those who don't know, the Ultramarines are sort of the poster boys for Games Workshop and for Warhammer. They're very popular. I've got Ultramarines myself. I'm painting them right now. So, you know, they're super popular. But it does mean that other Space Marine factions, Space Marine chapters, then lose out because they don't get as much love and attention. And Adrian collects the Iron Hands, and the Iron Hands haven't had any love for a long time, I don't think. So yeah, so I get it. It's just, yeah. So maybe I'm getting the census here that, I don't know, maybe it's me, but people have commented as well. Maybe we just don't like people messing with our stuff. So people don't like their army's rules changing. That people don't like, you know, lore getting rewritten. Like, creators, just leave. Once you make it, it's wonderful the way it is. People love it, so you don't need to change it. Is that what we're thinking here? That once the rules are written, we don't need to change them? Don't know, that's a strong statement to make. What do we reckon? Optimus, Adrian, Elias, what do we reckon? Once the rules are written, do we want to change them ever again? Or do we just live with those rules? One-time print, that's it. What do we reckon? So I'm really being slapdash with this silver paint, by the way. I'm literally throwing it in there. Because again, these areas aren't really any sort of areas that will have any high visibility. So you can be quite laxy-daisy with the paint. I'll also throw a load of shade in here as well, so shade paint over the top, just to give it some contrast and give it some depth. But it also covers up, I've said before, you know, stick some shade paint in here, it covers up the mistakes you make, so you can be quick and you can throw paint around, stick it over there and it will look absolutely fine. Righty, okay. Righty, so we've got all those done. Oh, we've got some little ones on this side as well, look. So on the tips of the wings. So let's bring this one in. Need some more silver. What else are you saying? Optimus is saying, how about when they change the rules and half your army's obsolete? Ooh. Now that is a sore spot for a lot of people. When they, you know, you buy a unit or whatever, and they get rid of it. Super frustrating. So they, you know, you might buy a character or whatever it is for your game, for your Warhammer, for your D&D, for your computer game, whatever it is, and then the game designers decide to get rid of that character and leave you with nothing. Yeah, super frustrating. I bought some Space Marine Scout land speeders, and they got rid of them. I bought the Space Marine Scout Sergeant, and they got rid of him. Yeah, I really liked the Scouts, so I got a few of them, and they just basically tore them up and rewrote the rules. Yeah, which was a bit rubbish. Well, rubbish in the sense I don't get to use those models anymore. I really liked the Sergeant model. Anyway, what else are we talking about? So, all right, when you're playing your games, right, how about thinking of like all the mini rules that come in? Like, I don't know, let's take D&D and let's say, what about all the different factors that affect your player being able to do something? Or, you know, in Warhammer, you know, you've got, all you want to do is shoot someone, but actually they've got 1 foot in this building and they get cover here, and then, but then they have this ability. Do all these little mini rules ruin the speed and the gameplay and the fun? would it be more effective just to have, you know, less rules? Sorry guys, just slightly out of frame there. Having less rules and streamlining it for ease and speed and play. Like a lot of people that play even 5e D&D, they turn around and say, oh, it's nothing like 2e. So the second edition, which is way faster, and it's this and it's that, and it's a lot better. So is it that streamline is best? Should all those sort of extra mini rules be thrown out the window and you just get rid of them and say, no, get rid of all that crap on the side, it's just as it is? I don't know. Hard one to judge. Hard one to judge, but it's certainly something to consider. I mean, because there's always moments where some of them special rules and all those little side abilities benefit you. So I kind of like, I get it for speed. Oh, sorry, I'm out of camera. I get it that it's done for speed, and I get that, you know, sorry, I get it that you would want less because you want the speed of the game, but also I've been at the benefit of some of those bonuses and all the rest of it, so I can see the good point of having them. I think it's quite a difficult one, to say get rid of all the mini rules and just have the one set. So for, you know, D&D, that would be that everyone operates on the same rule set, so you don't have different abilities for different races, and you know, you don't have extra things for this and that, and you only have one type of person. You don't have a sorcerer or a druid or a, you know, barbarian. You just have a character, and a character can do all of those things. So, and you can just apply different skills to those things instead. Or in Warhammer, you know, do you get rid of not rid of the factions necessarily, but the bonuses to the factions, and they all operate in a very similar way, but perhaps with just a few different weapons? I don't know. I'm being devil's advocate here, by the way. I'm not saying that that's what I want or that's what I'm campaigning for. I'm just sort of throwing it out there for you guys to see what you think. Don't know whether it'd make it more interesting or it'd make it less interesting and a bit more naff. In 2014, the Iron Hands got attention from Games Workshop in the form of a codex, Clan Rauken. Oh, okay. Didn't know that. Didn't play Warhammer back in 2014, so I wouldn't know. But I shall take your word for it, Adrian. As our historian here. Right, okay, so, oh no, we've done that side. Sorry guys, out of camera. We've done this side, but we haven't done this side. Right, so this side, and then we can do the bloody transfers. Right, come on. Last little bit of silver over here. I'll probably need to go back and do a second coat, I would imagine, on all these silver parts, because quite often is the case, you know, if you've got a dark colour like blue that's underneath, you will need to come back to it. The only time it's not like that is if you've got black, because black just blends with everything. So if you've got a black undercoat, you're good to go. Although this was originally black undercoated and then sprayed blue on top, but I did not mask off any areas. I just went blue, great, done. So yeah, it can go against you when you go for speed. What we're saying in the chat, we went from being a non-Codex Astartes army with 10 independent clans to a Codex Astartes army, and the clans were changed into companies with the same names. Oh, okay. Nice. That's certainly interesting, but did that... I guess it depends how much of the lore it changed, I guess, Adrian, to see whether or not it was really instrumental in the downfall of the Iron Hands. But I guess I see your point, though, that it's frustrating. You know, it's like anything, isn't it? You learn one thing, and it's, I guess, parallel to everything we've been talking about in terms of rules. You learn one thing and you do that, and then all of a sudden someone comes along and just with a big foul swipe changes it all, and you have to relearn, redo it, and it changes the way the character or the team or whatever it is you're using plays, and kind of possibly ruins the love that you had for that character, that unit, whatever it is. So it can be quite influential, I think, some of these rule changes, especially when they're pretty big. So it sounds like that one in 2014, Adrian, that you're talking about was quite a big rules change. So yeah, so when it's like that, it can really suck. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see here, but the top here where the blue isn't painted, it's actually black underneath still, and it goes on far better. And you don't have to worry about any black coming through the silver, because actually it looks okay. But with the blue, you have to worry about that coming through the silver, because it just looks odd. So always be aware of the base colour that you have, or the colour that you're painting over when you're looking at your minis, because it will dictate how you need to treat them going forward, how many layers they'll need, all the rest of it. Righty. Okay, so that's what's quickly done. Alright, all of that, quick. We could put some silver on these little bits here, couldn't we? Or maybe some different colours of silver. So we've got some white perhaps for these skulls. Maybe some gold. We could come across with some gold. There's a little door there, a little control panel rather. So if we paint that silver, and we can give that some contrast colours over the top to look like shiny buttons. There we go, there's that. Alrighty, right, let's pause there for a moment. Let's talk about our muscle moment, because we wouldn't be Minis and Muscles if we didn't talk a little bit about muscles. Righty, change the view, back to me. You can see me now. Okay, so I turn that down. I still think the music's quite loud tonight. Sorry if the music's been loud, guys and girls. So, our muscle moment, the place where the brawn meets the brush. I wanted to talk about tonight form and technique and the importance of it. Why do I want to talk with you guys tonight about form and technique and the importance? Well, I shall tell you. So, this week, Monday, go to the gym. No, not Monday. Saturday, I think it was, last week. Go to the gym. Started doing squats in the gym as one of my exercises that I wanted to do. And I was doing my squats and I started upping the weight and got to quite high weight. So I was doing about 160, 170 kg squats on my back. And I was starting and I could feel my back. I was getting tired by this point because it was about my third or fourth set. I think it was my fourth set. So I was quite tired at this point. And it was quite heavy. So I had this bar on my back and I was squatting and I could feel myself being tired, but I didn't do anything to correct myself, and my form went and I pulled my back like big time. I don't know, I must have arched in the wrong way, pushing up and arching my back rather than keeping my back straight because everything was tired, right? So essentially hurt myself, and it's only today that my back has started to ease off. It's been, out of action for like a week. Ow! And that is all down to form. So I put myself out of action for a week. What are you saying? Elias is saying it looks very clean. Thank you for the model. Yeah, it looks really smart. I love that, how clean it looks. Perhaps too clean, Adrian's saying. I will put some coloration in there. Don't worry. Meebe. What's Meebe? I don't know what Meebe is. Damn, you're strong. Yeah. I'm quite strong. On legs, I'm pretty strong. I'm not like the biggest person in the world. I'm only like 5'7", 5'8" at a push. So, yeah. But I'm quite strong, so I did a lot of cycling. So doing leg stuff, I'm pretty good at. And I find that I quite excel there. Whereas upper body, I'm strong, but I'm not insanely strong, but my legs are very strong. So yeah, form. So the first point I wanted to 6 quick points for my muscle moment. Form over ego. Part of me in the gym the other day was ego, right? Part of it was ego. I was like, well, I'm strong on my legs. I know I can lift this. I'm just going to lift it and I'm going to go for it. Wrong attitude completely. Lifting heavy is absolutely fine, but it's pointless if you haven't got no form, because you end up injuring yourself or you're not training the muscles that you're trying to train in the first place. Silly Steve. So it's just a fast track to injury if you're not careful. So rather than go for the ego lift, go for form. Use mirrors. So if you're doing any weights, I would suggest you use mirrors. Even if you're on a treadmill, you can use mirrors to look at your running gait. So anywhere you're doing, really, if you can use mirrors, use them. It's really, really good to use it so you can track and see how you're doing and how your body's performing. If you're running, you can see your heel lifts. If you're doing bicep curls, you can see if you're lowering your arms all the way down. There's all these things that you can watch yourself. I'm not a massive fan of recording myself and playing it back to myself. I think that's a bit weird. And I also don't like filming in public spaces, so I try to avoid that. But if the gym's clear, I will film myself doing something just so I can see how I'm doing in my form and technique. Adrian said, I can't do squats, so I can't get the bar behind my head. Well, you should be able to, because the bar's on a rack. So the bar is on a rack in front of you, and you just go underneath the bar. And now the bar's behind you, and you just stand up and you put your arms out and you stand up and hold the bar. So it's resting on the back of your shoulders, really. So you can do that. Because your arm's too big. Yeah. So use mirrors, and video feedback is good. Warm up with intent towards what you're trying to achieve. So if you're doing a legs day, it ain't no good doing press ups to warm up. Get on the treadmill, go for a little jog, get on the cycling machine, warm up those legs. Don't copy internet lifters. So there are plenty of people out there that are absolutely full of crap advice, and they will give you bad advice. Don't follow those. Read plenty of books and go to sources that are reputable. So that might be, I don't know, someone that's been doing it for 20 plus years and has got experience in XYZ. You might want to listen to those over a fitness influencer, for example. Control the tempo of your lifts. So having control over something is far more better than smashing it out really quickly. So you might be able to smash out, say, 10 reps really quickly of shoulder press, right? And you're just doing this. But actually, might not be getting the full range of movement. So if you're doing things slowly and under control, not only are you focusing on your form and the technique, but you're getting the full range of movement, and you're putting the muscle under more duress, more stress. The more that you put your muscle under stress, the more you'll do those micro tears in the muscles, in the fibers, so that they can micro tear and heal bigger. So then you get bigger muscles, and that's kind of the way to do it. So control the tempo. And then lastly, ask for feedback or coaching. Find a coach, ask for feedback from your buddies, share it with other individuals, the videos that you might take or whatnot, and just get some coaching and advice on it. Always the best way, all right? Anyway, that was our muscle moment. Before I witter on too much, let's just crack back to our beautiful gunship. I'm going to do some gold on the bottom, I've decided. I'm not going to go do the transfers just yet. I'm going to do the gold on the bottom. So we've got these little Aquillas here and here and here and here. So there's 4 of those. There's these little cogs down here that I'm going to do as well. I'm going to do those in gold just to give it something different than silver, because there's a lot of silver right now. So I just want to give it something different. There we are. Here we go. So let's just give it a little bit of silver. A little bit of gold. Just to break up the boringness of the silver. And we're just running that across nice and easy. So as long as you're paint is well mixed. So whenever you're putting your paint into your wet palette, although they say you shouldn't put your metallics into a wet palette, I have before and I've not noticed a huge amount of difference if I'm honest. But just make sure your paints are mixed well, so that when you apply them to the model, A, they come out correctly, and B, they apply nicely. So not only do you want the correct colour to come across, but you want the paint to flow off your brush, so it doesn't sort of go gloopy or anything like that. You just want it to sort of fall off your brush in such a manner it just makes painting a joy. So like here, you know, there's not a lot of effort going into just wiping the colour across. Just bringing it across the top of the Aquila here. There we go. Nice and easy. There we are. I'm just having a nice little bit of gold there, just separates. And the same with these little parts here. I probably will do these silver, possibly. I might do them a bronzy colour, and then I'll put the skulls in white. It doesn't have to be much that you're doing, but just by doing that and having a couple of different colours that are sitting out from your primaries, just gives it that sort of cool pop effect, I think, rather than sort of bland and boring and everything sort of blends into one. We don't want everything to blend into one. You don't want it all to be completely boring. You want a bit of fun in your models when you're painting them. So give it that colour, baby. Give it that colour. Let's give it something different. Should I do those little cogs down there? So the little cog here, should I do that in gold? I think I'm going to. Again, as long as your paint is well mixed, you should be able to spread that on without too much of a drama. I'm just going to spin it round just so it's easier for me to paint. There we go. Lovely. And we can do the same on this side too. There we are. Lovely jubbly. Let's spin it round. And one more. Oh, might need a little bit more paint on my brush. Remember, less is more as well. If you have to go back and get more paint, that's cool. But you don't want too much paint to where it becomes a pain in the bum. You want just enough of paint on your brush to get into those places. So less is more. If you have to go back to get more paint, that's good, in my opinion. I would always, 10 times out of 10, want to go back to get more paint than I would want to have to take it off. Taking it off and repaint is a pain in the bum. Going back for more of the colour that you require, perfect. So let's get a bit of white. Oh, what was I going to say about white actually? I used to use white scar, right? But white scar doesn't seem to mix very well, and it comes out really lumpy and it comes out really clumpy. But Corax white is a slightly grey white that I use a lot for my Sisters of Battle. But actually it's a really nice smooth paint, and it's far better to apply, and when it's on a model it still looks white. So actually my recommendation, if you're using Citadel paints, is to go with Corax white over white scar. I just find it applies so much better, and there's very rarely do you need such a pure white. So that's my second point about white colour when you're applying it. Well, 9 times out of 10 you don't need, you know, such a pure white that white scar would be. I'm going to put on my geek glasses for this actually, just because they're little. It might take multiple layers. Yeah, Yeah, 100%. Multiple layers is way better than having to, you know, repaint the whole thing. Alrighty. Could possibly use a slightly smaller brush here, but it's okay, we should get away with this. There we go. So yeah, if you haven't got a pair of these geek glasses, honestly guys, get a pair. They're so good for zooming in on all the areas and small detailed sections. They're so bloody good. I wouldn't be without these now. Wouldn't even try to paint without them. They're that good. They're bloody perfect. They just give you exactly what you need. Oh, damn. So my white there was just a little bit too thin. So what happened is it spread a little bit too much. So as you know what I was saying about the way you mix your paints, you've got to be ever so careful that you get the right consistency. So, you know, a base colour you want 3 times the paint to 1 times the bit of water, if that makes sense. So if it gets too wet, and that sounds really silly, but if the paint is too wet, it just doesn't, it becomes annoying and it doesn't flow nicely. Right. Okay. Right. I do need to go back into these though, because under the, so you also see with these geek glasses, if you don't want to zoom in here, oh, bit too far. There we go. With these geek glasses on, you see all the imperfections as well. So it is quite helpful to use these to go in and pick up on little bits and bobs. So they are very handy. Get them. They're super cheap. Get them off Amazon or whatever. Try not to buy from, you know, too many places like China and stuff. We have to ship lots of things because shipping uses a lot of fuel and all the rest of it. But if you can get a pair, get a pair. They're so cool. You just see all the detail that you would never see before. That's why I love them. Yeah. So there we go. Getting just a little bit of detail around the cogs. So the little cogs that the skulls sit on. I'm just sort of doing the edges of them. Because the edges were kind of still blue. And I didn't want that. I wanted them to be gold like they should be. So I'm just going back, just filling the bits. There we go. Hopefully that's good. I will pick up on our conversation about rules overload in a second. But we've also got our hobby horror to do, so I'll probably break for our hobby horror in a sec. It's probably about that time, yes. Oh no, low battery. Low battery! This was on charge. Right, I think I need just to get a new bloody thing, don't I? I need to get a new camera. Useless. This was on charge before the show, right? I'll just swap over here just for a second whilst that reboots. It was on charge before the show. I do not know sometimes. One day it works and it's all fine and it like lasts the whole show. Other times it just bloody cuts out all the time. I just don't get it. But, you know, what can you do? We're working in a cheap budget here, guys. Actually, saying a cheap budget, that bloody camera was not cheap. It was still like a couple of £100. So yeah, so I don't know, maybe it's just a faulty one that's got a crap battery. Right, there we go. Anyway, that's that done. You can see me. Can we see? Hey, there we go. Look. We're back. There we are. What we're saying? It might be a couple of layers. Adrian's deleted a message and he's written another one. It'll be all white on the night. Yeah, easy, Barrymore. For those of you in the UK, you'll get that joke and that reference. Michael Barrymore was a TV personality in the 90s. I'm pretty sure he used to say it'll be all white on the night because he couldn't. Yeah, he had a bit of a speech impediment, so scrupulous character as well, I think. So again, just adding a little bit of white on these skulls. Come on. Work with me, gunship. Find space so I can paint. Yeah, what else are I going to talk about? I was going to talk about... Oh, rules lawyers. So, you know, we're talking about rules and being sort of overloaded by rules all the time. There's always one in a D&D group or a whatever, you know, that's like a proper rules lawyer that will tell you when you're going wrong and will pick you up for everything, you know, everything going. And then, you know, if you ever do the same, then they'll be really offended that you pick them up for something. You know, so rules lawyers. Has anyone had any experience with rules lawyers? So people that sort of really do hammer home the rules and sort of and make you stick to them, which is good because rules are there for a reason. But then ultimately when you've picked them up, they don't particularly like it. I found a few of them. Or sometimes with rules lawyers, they can become over-imposing. So they can sort of kind of spoil the flow of things. Or, you know, a DM might allow something to happen and the rules lawyer goes, oh, well, actually it wouldn't happen like that because X, Y, Z. And, you know, you have to rein them in and say, well, I'm the DM. I'm quite happy for it to happen. Don't panic. But yeah, rules lawyers. Anyone had any experience with them or recently and had any fun stories to drop in the chat? If you do, drop it in the chat. But I just thought it was another part of this sort of crazy world that sort of where rules or overinflated rules sometimes and complex rules look at, you know, distracting from the game itself. So, you know, rules lawyers come into that part, I guess. There we go. The only thing with wearing these glasses is sometimes you lose perspective and you make little mistakes where you don't realise where something is or should be. Right. Okay, so that's the bottom of our gunship. It's looking all right, right? It's looking okay. I mean, I do need to put a second coat of orange on those missiles, to be fair. But it's looking all right. Not a bad job so far. Not a bad job. Right, I'm just going to pause that there and do that. So rules law is the last part about a conversation about our geek world being heavily inflated by rules and do you have burnout. But I do want to talk about our segment, our third segment, last segment of the show, is hobby horror. It wouldn't be right if you didn't get a low battery warning. Hobby horror, exactly. Yeah, there we go. There's a hobby horror for me today. In fact, every week pretty much, where the bloody battery decides to throw itself in. But never mind, we'll get past it. But the hobby horror I did want to share with you this week, that's right, is Pokemon Card Carnage. Pokemon Card Carnage, don't say that too fast too many times. But it was talking about opening collectible packets. So Pokemon's a super collectible, right? And as you know, and I've talked about on this show, I've collected Pokemon for some time. I've got my collections over there, and I open them up regularly. So sometimes these packets, you go to open them and you just can't open them. And I get all excited when I get these packets and I'm sort of super buzzing and I'm like thinking, oh my God, have I got this one? Have I got that one? And I start sort of playing scenarios in my head that I've got the world's most valuable Pokemon card. I then was pulling at this packet and I couldn't get it open. I got kind of frustrated because you have to be very careful not to bend and bust and break and tear these cards. So the way to open a Pokemon packet card is really gentle and it's weird. And when you get frustrated, like I did the other day, I pulled it and then I bent the bloody Pokemon card that was inside, and it was a good one as well. It was a valuable card. And I bent the bloody thing through impatience. So I had a hobby horror moment myself. Not just my battery giving up on the camera, but bending a Pokemon card that was worth a few quid, whilst eagerly trying to open a packet. So there was my hobby horror. So my point is, and lessons learned from it, is always open your packets of Pokemon very, very carefully. Some people like to cut the ends off. I'm always, oh yeah, there you go. Optimus is saying always cut the tops off packets. I'm always worried that I'll cut one of the cards, like one of the cards would slip and I'll cut one of them. So I try not to. I try to just gently open the glued seal. So the reason why you do this is because a lot of cards are collectible and you can take them away and get them graded. When they're graded, they're worth tons more. So you should, always be careful and take pristine care. And especially if it's a card that looks special, or is special, take it out of that packet and put it straight into a penny sleeve straight away. And then if you've got a top loader, which is a penny sleeve is like a flexible, very thin pouch that the card goes into, and a top loader is more like a harder plastic one to protect it from bending. So you put it in a penny sleeve, then put it in a top loader, it's protected. So just be careful when you're opening your Pokemon cards. Don't be like me. Don't be an eager fool, and don't bust up your cards. So don't be in a rush to open up that hyper rare. It will always get you. Adrian is dropping in the chat saying cutting the tops off packet makes more plastic waste. Well, does it make more? It makes an extra piece, but it's not physically more plastic waste, is it? Because it's still plastic waste. It's still the same volume of plastic, I guess. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to talk about in my hobby horror. Has anyone else had a hobby horror moment this week? If you have, chuck it in the chat. Let me know. As always, I'd love to hear from you and your hobby horrors and see what's happened to you guys. However, hobby horror is only a short little section. Let's get back to this beast. Should we do the missiles next? Should we just give them an extra paint of orange? An extra glow of orange, sorry. I think we probably should, shouldn't we? We'll stick another layer of orange on there because it's looking a little bit washed out. Let's just mix up the pot. Whilst we're doing that, actually, I've just spotted. This always happens to me. I don't know if it happens to you guys as well when you're painting away. You'll be painting away and then you'll go, oh, hang about. I'll just do this colour, and you'll change colour to something else, and then you'll notice a section that is missing the colour that you've just stopped painting. So you have to dip your paintbrush back in the colour that you've just cleaned it off of it just to get that little bit. There you go. So I've just done that myself. Right, so we've got our orange ready. This orange, I'm going to use this sort of Fire Dragon Bright, it's called. And I'm going to use that because it's almost like a sort of a day glow type orange, warning type orange colour, which I think would be perfect for the tip of a rocket stroke missile. So let's start over this side and let's start just applying this orange. Oh, that's better already. Just by adding a second coat and it being slightly thicker, just seems to cover it a bit nicer. There we go. Let's just move this over here. And I can do this one. There we go. Has anyone had a hobby horror this week? Anyone had a terrible moment whilst doing a bit of geekery? So I'm going to have to do a bit of an odd camera angle here as I lift up this to try and get all the sides of this rocket that's tucked away. When you're doing these sort of extra layers on stuff, if you load up your brush so it's got a fair amount of paint on, not too much, but a fair amount, and if you should just be able to literally run it across and drag it from sort of one place straight across, and that should, like that and that, be enough just to cover it to the point where you don't need to add any further colour. Or just that angle there. There we go, I think. Oh. It's also how you've got to hold this bloody model just to keep it in camera angle as well. A pain in the bum. It's not like a little sort of 28, 32mm model that you can just throw around and it's really easy to capture on camera. Because it's got wings and stuff, it's an actual pain in the bum. But it's a bit like the dragon we did ages ago when we painted that ghost dragon. That was actually a really cool model. I liked that. And ironically, I got that from Comic Con. Was it Comic Con? I think it was Comic Con. I got that one. There we go. All right, that's a bit better. Oh God, that's a bit better on the orange anyway. It's not as bad as what it was. Oh no! Got some orange on the front. No, how did that happen? I don't remember doing that. Luckily, I've got some blue here. And I'll just have to go over the top of that. Naughty. Right, there we go. There we are. Righty. So, let's have a look here, see what we got to. Where we've got to. What we're saying here. Hobby horror. Oh, you guys are dropping in and saying hobby horrors. So Elias is saying me painting a marine's face, making it really disfigured. Less is more, Elias. Take less on the brush. So when you've got your brush, don't load it up. Just take a little tiny bit on the tip and make sure it's fairly watered down. Not too much, but watered down so it's smooth and it runs nicely. And just slowly apply the colour to it rather than getting too much on the paintbrush. Some people, look, I'll just give you an example here. Let's use this colour because I don't like it. But this is what not to do, right? So what you don't want to do is get your paintbrush like this, load it up like that, and then dunk that onto your model. Okay? No, no, no. That is way too much paint. Okay? Do not do that. If you're going to paint your model, little and less is more. So, look, I don't even know if you can see the tip of that. That's enough. If I was painting a face, that's enough white. Absolutely enough white. There's only a tiny bit on there and it dries really quickly. So, no, Elias, you're not bad at painting. You're not at all. It's just practice, okay? That's all it is. Practice and little tips. So don't you worry. You just keep practicing. Adrian is saying his hobby horror was procrastination. I didn't attempt to go into my boxes of shame to restart painting, even when I posted last time that I would. Adrian, you promised. Still, it is a bank holiday weekend. That is correct. We have an extra day of the weekend here in the UK. Right, Adrian, here's your challenge. Okay, by the time this happens, next week's stream, you need to have painted a model. There you go. I'm going to call you out live on stream. You need to paint a model, Adrian. All right. So pull your finger out. Get in those boxes now. It's Friday evening. You've got nothing else to do. Grab yourself a beer or a drink or whatever it is. Go open those boxes. Take a look. Find a good model. Paint it. Start sticking those pictures onto the Discord channel. I want to see it. Come on. What is Optimus is saying? My hobby horror is always realizing how much money I spent on it. Yes, yes, Optimus, 100%. I can't say that I don't have the same issue, because I do, very much so. I have the realization moment where I think, oh my god, what have I just spent my money on? How much money have I just spent? And then I weep into my bank account, and then I start painting my model and I cheer up again. So don't worry about it. It's every modeler's nightmare, I think, and that's a hobby horror. I don't think that is a hobby horror because everyone does it, right? But I'm just putting my paints away because I'm going to start doing the transfers. But I think that's acceptable, right? It's acceptable to have a hobby horror where you don't know how much you've spent until you spent it and then you panic, right? That's fine. Don't worry about that, Optimus. That's cool. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to do some transfers. So we've got these big chapter signs here for the Ultramarines that need to go down on the wings here. So we're going to cut these two out. And then we're going to use my tweezers to hold them in the water, dunk them in the water, and then stick them on here. Alrighty, so let's get... Oh, let's just move that there. Let's get... I have got some brushes on standby because you might need the brushes to get the transfer off of the backing paper. But I'm just using a... Oh, why is that not cutting? That's weird. I've just got a razor blade here. I'm just going to cut out the items that I want. Oh dear, that's really gone strange. That's really gone weird on that. Sometimes you might need to double go over them, just like I do here, just to get them cut out. There we go. That one, that one. There we are. There's that. And let's just do this one as well. There we are. Okie dokie. So we've got them cut out. That's good. Well, that's a bit close to the bone now there, isn't it? So just be careful when you are cutting them out. Don't be like me, all reckless. Just be careful when you cut them out. Because you don't want to wreck the transfer itself. So there's a couple of different things and different techniques and different ways to do transfers. Loads of people talk about it. There are different solutions that you can use. I've not got any left, so I can't use mine. But there is some... Oh God, what's it called? Geez. There's a solution that you can use on Microset. That's what it's called, Microset. So it's a solution called Microset that you can use for these transfers. It's very good. But I haven't got any at the moment, so I'm just going to use water. But this one is going to go down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hold this into, with my tweezers, in some water, just for a moment, just to slosh it about, get it wet. So I'm just dropping it in some water off screen with my tweezers, and then I will use my paintbrush just to nudge the transfer, the transfer off of the backing paper. So you'll see that in a second. Make sure that you place the Omega symbols the right way round on the Mini. Oh yeah. Let's not get it like a horse. Well, it's this way round. That's the way you want to be on the wing anyway. So I've got my, it's a bit of a crappy angle here, I don't know if I can zoom in a bit. I've got my tweezers here, I've got my transfer, so all I'm going to do is use my paintbrush just to get, I don't think it's wet enough actually, so I need to go in a little bit longer. Sometimes if they don't come off the transfer backing paper very well, just stick it back in the water. In fact, whilst I'm waiting for that, I'll stick that one there. What you can do is I've just dropped the other paper just onto the top and just let it float in the water. You've got to be careful because the two stick together sometimes, which is what they've just done. Oh no. Right. Okay, let's see if this is washed off now. Oh no, the transfer's actually broken on this one. That's poo. Alright, well that means I'm going to have to show a little bit of skill in how to tidy this one up. Right. So, just getting the paintbrush. Hang about. Try and get out of the way. Get the paintbrush underneath the transfer like this, look. There you go. Okay. And just get it in roughly into the right place you want it. Don't worry if it's not perfect yet, and we'll have to get that other piece off as well. But now, see, you can use your paintbrush just to move it around. Like this. So that's how you do it. I've got a little bit too much water on there, so it won't completely stick down. But I'm just going to use this to dab on there, just to take a little bit extra off. There you go. Right, and I need that tiny little bit that's left on there to go on the end. Right, it's there, but I just need to push it into place. Come on, you bugger. Right, that's about as good as I'm going to get it, I think. No, Steve, you silly boy. There we go. Alrighty, so there's one there. Okay. Whew. And let's go around the other side. Let's get the other one. So the other one's just been soaking for a little bit longer, so hopefully that should be good. Yay, says Adrian. Thanks, mate. Okay, and let's get this other one. Let's do the same technique. So just use your paintbrush to shimmy it off. There we go, like that. And get your tissue just to suck up the excess water, and you'll see then that it'll bring the transfer down to the body of the plane, or the gunship, or the tank, or whatever it is you're putting it on. So I'm just looking over the other side to see if I've got it roughly in the right place. I do need to move this way a little bit. So let's just move across. Delicate operation, this, peeps. Delicate. Right, okay, there. Okay, cool. Alrighty, so there you go. There's the first of the two transfers on. So if I zoom out, you will see transfer 1 and transfer 2 boop, boop, on the wings. So I do have some, I have an order for some micro set, which will help set the transfers on there, so that I'll get that on there later. There is one more that goes, I think it goes on, oh, excuse me, goes on the front here on this little cockpit. So it's one of these ones here. Ooh, 5 minutes. Can we do it, guys? Can we get this one off and on? Let's see. Cut her out. Yep. Can we do it? Can we get this last transfer on in 5 minutes before the end of the show? I've got to now stick this in the water. Come on, baby. Come on. Work with me. So today, anyway, we covered and we spoke a lot about rules, right, and how impacting they can be on. Thanks, JPC, appreciate that. How rules can be impacting on gameplay, on stress, on frustration, on understanding, on fun. So I guess really the ultimate message as we sort of come to a conclusion at the end of the show here is don't let rules completely ruin your gaming. If it's got to the point where it's not fun anymore, then you don't want to be doing it, right? Oh, come on. Oh no, I broke it. It's not ready yet. Oh no, I dropped her. I've dropped my transfer in the water, guys. No. Oh dear. Oh no, oh no. I'm going to have to get another one. Bugger. Right, okay. Well, the stream ain't going to end on when it normally ends, but never mind. Yeah, so with the rules, you know, there's loads of rules in all these games in the geek world. Don't be scared of them. Try and learn them the best you can. Share it with your friends, talk about it, and do the best you can around it, but don't let it spoil the complete game that you're playing or anything to do with what you're trying to achieve in having fun with that game, right? So just enjoy it for what it is. It's not a problem. Yeah, you can do all the learning of the rules by yourself. You can do it as a group. So if you've got mates you can chat to in a WhatsApp group or something, do that because it makes it more fun. It gives you also a different perspective on understanding the rules. It means you can share things and research things quicker. So that's a really good way to do it. So don't try to do it on your own all the time, but do your own research. Don't just rely on others, because you do need to understand the rules of things to be able to play these games, right? And you don't want to be the one that's, you know, like me, always having to say to people, oh, how does that work? How does that work? Right, there we go. Let's place that one on there. Let's just take the excess off. Right. Move this little badger into place. There we go. There we go. Perfect. There we go. Perfect. Lovely. Look at that. We did get one on. There we go. Right at the last moment. Another hobby horror. Yes! It was another hobby horror. Dropping the transfer into the bottom of your water cup. Never good. But we saved it. And, you know, if we zoom out a bit, there are all three transfers are on. 1, 2, 3. You know, the gunship's looking pretty good now. It's in pretty good shape. It's got some colour underneath it as well. The details aren't done, granted, but you could put that on a table now and be pretty happy with it. So let's just swap over to the front view. Well, it is 9 o'clock, peeps. It is the end of our Minis and Muscles show. Adrian said, drat curses. You'll be initiating the rites of percussion next. I'll be doing something, that's for sure. But thank you so much to every single one of you that has joined me today. I appreciate every single one of you, especially those that jump on the chat and say hello and have a good old natter with me and sort of keep me going through these moments of putting these models together. I appreciate every single one of you. Please do like the video. The video will be posted straight onto my YouTube page after this live. So it'll be there instantaneously. Like it. Make sure you are subscribed. Please, please, please. We've sort of plateaued at like 115 subscribers. Tell all your friends about it. Get everyone on it. Get your dad on it, your mum on it, your nan on it, whoever. Get them to subscribe. Let's get the channel up there. But we are getting more people watching. So I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you. So have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the UK, enjoy that extra day off if you have that day off and you don't have to work shifts. And I will see every single one of you next Friday at 7 PM BST. Stay safe, stay geeky. I will speak to you all very soon. Enjoy the weekend. See you soon.
Minis and muscles, we're heroes, right? The tiny world, still body skies. Crushing head with casting dreams until the dawn, leveling up and the world to follow. With painted heroes shining bright, venturing on.